This was originally supposed to be a video about sharpening really dull kitchen knives and getting them back into good working order when my tool had a different idea. So the video took a bit of a pivot from sharpening knives and chatting in the shop to seeing if we could diagnose this and if the failure was catastrophic. And spoiler alert, I think it is catastrophic. I know I haven't done tool teardowns, but when life gives you lemons, do a tool teardown video. My kitchen knives are in terrible shape. I don't know if it will show up, but they are chipped, they are dull, and they're just really sad. So just a quick little video using the Works Sharp knife sharpener to try and put an edge back on them and make them so that they are a little less dangerous to use. We're gonna go with a couple of passes for each knife and see if we can start to fix the profile and get the edge back. And I'll see if I can focus in here a little bit closer just so you can see, well, of course it's not gonna cooperate, but just so you can see what kind of there we go. So just so you can see what kind of terrible edge we've got. I mean, this is, like I said, this is embarrassingly dull. And I am ashamed to let anybody use these, and shame on me. All right, let's get to profiling. Why does that sound so much worse all of a sudden? Did I lose a bearing or something inside? Well, all right. That's not supposed to do that. And I don't know if that is a replaceable part. And so the real story of this video may be that my sharpener is now dead. Well, that's sad. I'm gonna have to see if this is a replaceable part. I am not sure exactly why that let go, but it sure did. Or did that just go through there? And is that the only thing that was driving? I think that's the only thing that was driving that. I think that little piece is the only thing that is driving the belt. And it just let go. The good news is, I got the kitchen knives to a place of reasonable sharpness. The bad news is, I think my Work Sharp just died. Have to get some pictures and get in contact with the fine folks at Work Sharp, and see if that is something that can be replaced. But I am not seeing a way to do it unless you can take this all apart. I tell you what. This video may have changed into a teardown video, and we're going to take this apart. One moment, please. I realize I just ripped off Big Clive. Sorry, Big Clive. Looking more closely, I actually think I have multiple failure modes. So this piece has cracked off of here, and this O-ring that was on here is definitely dry rotted. And then this piece is missing a chunk, and I don't know if that was always missing and I just didn't notice it, or if it went flying off when everything fell apart and it started shaking. And I've looked at this. This doesn't look like it's got any other significant cracking. There's maybe a little mark here, and I can't tell if that is a mold mark or, yeah, it might be just be a mold mark where those, yeah, it's just a mold mark. So lost a piece here, and I'm still not 100% sure if there's another piece that goes in here to drive the belt, or if it truly is just this sticking in, turning the belt. This I've had for maybe 12 years, so it has been around for a while, but it shouldn't be so old that it's falling apart. I am going to try and take this apart and see if it's even possible to get this piece off to see if repair is even something that can be done. So I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed if this is now a piece of garbage, and I will reach out to Worksharp and see, but we might find out when we take it apart. And yes, I did pull the correct Allen key off of the wall, because again, that's my stupid superpower. So I'm gonna get it apart and see if this can even come off, if it's even potentially user serviceable, reach out and see what Worksharp has to say, and maybe I will buy that Tormac after all. I don't know if I should keep my fingers crossed or if I should be disappointed, because this wasn't exactly cheap, and it's been a great little unit until it threw itself into pieces. All right, so crack this open here. Oh, there's some long threaded screws. I assume that they just go through this casing into this piece of plastic, would be my guess. All right, so those are those three out. Well, that one is certainly different. We'll set it aside. Oh, they do come all the way out. I just was not pulling on them hard enough. All right, is that enough, or do I have to take the ones out? Apparently I have to take the ones out of the back of the handle. So let's do that. Also, remember kids, if you can't take it apart, you don't truly own it. Says the person with a ton of stuff that cannot be taken apart that he does not truly own. Well, I guess we're making this a tool teardown. It looks like I'm gonna need a knife. And unfortunately, I did just enough passes, and I think I didn't have the angle exactly right, because I made this worse as a knife and not better, but hopefully that is still sharp enough to cut through this sticker. There we go. That was definitely holding it together. Do the little AVE treatment here, except I don't know anything about what I'm talking about. I will say the interior casing, I don't see a ton of marks where they had worked on the mold. It's actually really clean inside. I have no idea what it's made out of, but it's really stiff. Maybe some sort of a glass fiber nylon, but I'm just guessing. All right, this is the part that we really care about. That motor comes out. Yeah, that is, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is not a user serviceable part. There is not a screw that goes down in there to hold this on. Like, I could take that screw out and just pull this off, and this is all one molded piece, and it includes the fins that keeps the motor cool as it spins. Probably just a bog standard brush motor. Looks like an AC motor. I'm guessing that this is not rectified. It is not rectified. It is just a little variable switch. We've got power coming in AC. That neutral goes into the back of the switch. Oh, wait, I take that back. Maybe it is a rectifier. So there is a little rectifier here. I almost kind of want to get my multimeter out and see if it is rectifying for the switch, or if it's rectifying all the way here and this is getting DC. We'll take a look at that, because for no other reason than I'm curious. But sadly, unless I can pull this off, and that's going to be friction pressed into that motor shaft, they could send me a whole new motor. I could potentially buy a whole new motor assembly. I don't have high hopes for it. So I do believe that this thing has given up the ghost. I will reach out to Worksharp and just ask if there are any options whatsoever to salvage this, but it's not looking good for the little Worksharp knife sharpener. With what might be one of the sketchier setups I have done, I have got the motor stabbed with the probes for the multimeter. I have it set on volts AC, and when I give it a little bit of power, I'm getting 0.1 volts, which that doesn't seem right. So when I flip it to volts DC, and we let it settle here, I realize the light glare might be a problem there, and I give it a little bit of power. Look at that, we're getting 72, 73 volts DC. All the way up to 120 volts DC, so it is rectifying the power. And interestingly, it is just rectifying, I'm guessing, whatever the AC voltage that's passing through is. So as I'm giving it just a little bit, helps if the probe doesn't fall off. And remember, kids, don't try this at home, because 120 volts DC will not feel good. So I'm just giving it a little squeeze. I'm about 74 volts. I'm guessing it is straight rectifying the AC, converting it to DC, passing it right to the motor, so it is a brushed DC motor with a variable switch and a little rectifier, and of course with all of this contraption, let's unplug it for safety. With all of this contraption in the way, I can't really tell what that part is. Just out of my own curiosity, because I have old eyes, it is a KBL 610G rectifier. So AC to DC, just a straight rectifier. We're not converting voltage at all. And it is a CPXTE switch. Yeah, not a brand that I have heard of before. I mean, feels good. Like I said, overall, this has been a tool that I have enjoyed using up until 10 minutes ago when it shook itself apart. And in theory, it's fixable with a new motor. I just don't have much faith that that is going to be something that I'm going to be able to get, which kind of makes me sad. But that is the world that we live in, so I'll figure out how to get it back together later. That was the Kin Onion edition. Work Sharp was being the operative word. I am sad and afraid that this is probably going to the tool graveyard. At least I got the kitchen knife sharpened. I want to point out and show that the inside of this is actually pretty well thought out and laid out, and it looks like they took care and paid attention to some of the details. There are channels to retain the wiring all the way through. This is a little metal clip for that bottom screw to set into, and I believe, yep, there's one on the handle side. The switch slots in on top of the wires pretty nicely. There's a place for all the wires to go. I mean, it's a nice feeling switch, and you've even got a little bit of, I don't know, probably not silicone, but some sort of a material there to hold that. The wires are all nicely heat shrinked. Like, you've got boots on the ends of these that completely cover all of the electrical connections. Like, it is a well thought out and designed tool, except for the part that, you know, just exploded and ate itself. It's a shame. I wanted to do a video, easy, quick, in the shop, sharpening my knives. My kitchen knives were in terrible, terrible shape. They were not sharp. They were only slightly better than a butter knife. I have to say I am a little disappointed because this has been a great little sharpener, and I'm sad that it's dead. And based on what I saw from taking it apart, I don't see that there is any way to salvage this, because I would most likely need an entire new motor assembly. And I doubt that if Worksharp even still has components for this, they're gonna send me a new motor assembly, and there's probably no mechanism by which I can purchase one. I will reach out and I will find out, and I will make an update if I've proven to be wrong. I am not optimistic, but I would love to be proven wrong and be able to put my Worksharp back together and be able to sharpen my knives. I feel like this is going to go into the junk bucket. I just wanted to give a quick update. I did hear back from Worksharp. They initially told me the problem was with the cassette, the part that the belt rides around. And after a little back and forth, they did acknowledge that the problem is in the motor housing itself. Since the particular model I have is discontinued, they said they didn't have any parts or spare units that they could send, even if they wanted to. To Worksharp's credit, they did offer a discount if I wanted to purchase a new Worksharp Mark II normally $110, and they were offering a discount code that would bring the price down to $59.95 and would be free shipping. So I do appreciate that. However, it's not the Kin Onion edition, and so I would actually lose some functions and features by stepping backwards in the model. I'm no material engineer, so I don't understand the design choices that made that pinion an irreplaceable part, or an unreplaceable part rather. And I'm not sure why they're not using a common motor subassembly so that they could potentially just send out a new motor unit. Again, I don't know what design compromise and considerations they had to make, but it's frustrating that instead of spending a couple of dollars for a part, maybe $10 or $15 for a new motor assembly, I'm forced to buy an entirely new tool. That's a different issue. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I still need a way to sharpen my knives. My other concern is that if I buy another work sharp, even discounted, am I going to be in this same problem in another 7 to 10 years? Is this a common failure mode, or was I just unlucky enough to get one that had this failure mode? I don't know, and I haven't seen a lot on the internet, so it's kind of hard to tell. Regardless, I'm still going to need a way to sharpen my knives going forward, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do. But that's where things are for now. Anyway, back to the rest of the video. I managed to get the kitchen knife sharpened, and while they are not hair shaving on my arm sharp, well, that tore a lot more than it cut. When I did the practice, it worked great, so they're a lot better than they were. You're just gonna have to trust me on the fact that they were really, really bad. Certainly will be good enough for cutting up meat and vegetables. Way better than they were. I am a little sad though, because until I get a solution or fix my sharpener, they're only gonna be as good as they are. The thing that makes me sad is as I was sharpening my knives, that's when the work sharp died, and now they are in worse shape than they were, I think, before, because of course it died at the worst possible time. I even have a Kin Onion edition Kershaw, and that makes it all the more ironic that it died. I do have traditional whetstones. I am not good with traditional whetstones. There is a whole set of skills and practice to using these that I just do not have, and I have tried to keep these with jigs for chisels and plane irons and things of that nature. And again, I am pretty lousy at hand sharpening with whetstones, and I don't really want to go to whetstones for knives. I realize that's probably the best way to do it. I just don't see that being the thing that I'm gonna do. So I guess there will be a follow-up video once I hear back and or decide what I am going to do to sharpen my knives in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this little video. I hope that you enjoyed the twist and aside with the tool teardown. That was unplanned but interesting. If you've stuck around to the end, I would invite you to subscribe to the channel if you like the kind of stuff that you see here. And I hope you found this interesting and or learned something. Thanks so much for watching.